Hello and thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Saraki wants Senate to revisit sexual harassment bill as Unilag Foursquare Church suspend sex for grade lecturer. Southwest governors poll 100 vehicles for regional security patrol. And later on the show, Governor SANWO-OLU honors police officer who used personal resources to save a robbery victim. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Wahid Bakari, and Sam Ibemere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us once again. Our penchant for living in denial obviously causes us so much damage when Monica Osage implicated her lecturer, Professor Richard Akindele of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in a sex for grades scandal in April 2018. We ignored the ominous signs. Now, it took an expose by a media outfit to tell us that our ivory towers are rotting. In an undercover documentary by BBC African Eye, some lecturers were caught sexually harassing female students at the University of Lagos, Unilag. In the heat of the scandal, former Senate President Bukola Saraki wants the federal government to revisit the Sexual Harassment in Tertiary Education Institution Prohibition Bill passed by the 8th Assembly to check the menace. The accused, Boniface Igbeneghu, has been suspended by Unilag and its church, Foursquare Gospel Church, here in Lagos. Babajide, we are seeing a new dimension to this sexual harassment thing, and the Deputy Senate President now, that's Senator Ovie Omoagege, actually raised this bill during the 8th Assembly. But unfortunately, due to politicking and everything, it was passed by both arms of the National Assembly, but it wasn't signed to law by Mr. President. From what you are looking at, let's first of all start by this Dr. Boniface Igbeneghu. He claims to be a pastor, and from what we saw, they even went to his church. They saw him officiating on the pulpit. They had a stolen shot of him officiating from the pulpit. When you check the camera shots and everything, you know that most of those shots, they were actually shots taken by spy cameras and everything. But an associate professor, a sub-dean, he might have risen to that height. What might have, influenced this man to act this way?
Well, as Mahatma Gandhi said, no man can attain perfection while in the body. We are all mortals, and occasionally we give in to the flesh. When you give in to the flesh and you are caught at it, then you get the disgrace that you deserve. Many people do this thing, they don't ever get caught. I imagine that some of them somewhere will even join in castigating this man, whereas they are just as guilty, if not even guiltier than him. It's a problem in our tertiary institutions. It's a big problem. There is a boy that I mentored who was going to get married, and his wife was in one of the Lagos tertiary institutions. Suddenly, a lecturer told her, look, you are going to not only fail my course, you fail courses of other lecturers. So the woman said, what is the problem? Is it money? Because sometimes women will offer them money. But there are some lecturers who will tell you in plain language that it's not your money that I want, it's your body. Maybe they see a woman and they just fantasize over sleeping with her, and then they tell the woman to her face that, look, you either give me your body or you fail. So this woman, convinced that it is not it was not something she should do, decided to tell her man. And what did her man do? Her man contacted cultists on the campus. So the cultists went after the lecturer and said, you are harassing so person. She is on her way out. She's in her final year. Now, let it be known that if she failed any course at all, not even your course, any course at all, if she failed, then you are dead meat. So he started running helter-skelter.
Rallying support.
Yes, got in touch with our colleagues and got our colleagues to pass the woman with good grades.
What an irony.
With good grades. She also passed her and called the husband, or the husband to be at that time, and said, see, I have done what you asked me to do. I hope my life is safe in your hands now. The guy said, well, I'm going to investigate to be sure that what you have done is permanent. It is when we are sure that what you have done is permanent that you can sleep easy. So this is a terrible thing going on in our institutions. I've done stories about that I called sexually transmitted marks in the past, because it was Okeondibe, the Nigerian-born writer based in the US, who wrote an article back then that he called sexually transmitted grades. So you will find that women who are given scores that they do not deserve, you can say that they will come out of the university with sexually transmitted grades, or sexually transmitted degrees, which KDB was talking about. Some of the women go out of their way to tell lecturers that, look, sleep with me.
I don't have the capacity.
I know I can't pass.
Pass your course.
If you've lectured before, I've lectured before as a youth corps member. That will come. If you are teaching in-service students, in-service students, they usually get the opportunity maybe once in 10 years to be trained. They are civil servants. They do not want to lose that opportunity, because when you pass, you then get promoted. They will offer you their body. There's nothing they won't offer. Some will offer money. So there are temptations. Some women will come to you asking that you sleep with them. But a preponderance of our lecturers believe that part of the benefits accruing to them is that they should lay these women. Some will take money. Some will say, no, we are not taking money. It's your body that I want. So we must realize that it's a big problem and do our best to address this problem once and for all. Otherwise, when we talk about people being unable to defend their degrees, this is how it begins. This is how it begins.
Wahid, even people, you discover that Dr. Boniface Igbenegu now is not just lucky. There are people in that system. And immediately this happened, some students started mentioning names, you know, of lecturers they know like that, but they weren't as unlucky as This Dr. Boniface.
It's not,
they are still in the system.
It's not a UNILAG thing alone. There are so many. This thing is happening all over the federation, whether we like it or not. It goes across both university, polytechnic, and even colleges of education. We have had cases of girls coming to confess to us that, look, this is what I'm facing in school, though. How can you help me out? You know, a lecturer is victimized. And some of these lecturers deliberately go after vulnerable students. Students, they know that they are struggling. They cannot pass on their own. These are the ones they target, apart from those ones that offer themselves, like Jide said, that they really go to lecturers and say, look, I know I can't make it, just sleep with me, or whatever you want, I'll give it to you. You know, but apart from that, we have a situation whereby, you know, they deliberately target those vulnerable students among them. That this one cannot pass now. They will call the person. This is what I want you to do. When the issue of this UNILAG happened, like you said, a lot of guests have been coming out to say, I also had a similar experience with this person. I also had a similar. We also discovered that there was a top university professor in UNILAG that was indicted. They mentioned his name again. His name has been going viral again. That look, up to now, nothing has been done, and the person is still there in the system. You know, doing whatever he likes to the student. How long are we going to continue with that? Like Jide said, you know, we have a situation whereby you will see graduates, they will come, they will ask you to put them to test. Maybe you want to give them employment. You will be amazed. You will be wondering, are you sure this one isn't has up to secondary school certificate? And they come out with good grades that they cannot defend. And we continue to complain. And they will be in the system. Some of them will end up teaching. They will be teaching our children rubbish. Because when they cannot get any employment, they go for teaching. You know, they will be teaching them rubbish. Because you can only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have. You know, it's a serious problem.
Professor Richard Akindele from the University of Ife. He's in jail now. He's in prison now. OU. He's in prison now. I think he's serving a 2-year.
2-year term.
He was also a pastor in one church, maybe Baptist church or so. And this one is said to be a parish pastor in Foursquare Gospel Church, although he has been suspended and everything. What is synonymous with, you know, being a man of God? I thought being a man of God is meant to, you know, something
to make
special.
You morally elevated.
At least more than above board than, you know, the normal brother. You know. So why is it that this is a parish pastor?
Well,
did you listen to that conversation?
Oh, yes, I'm
in my 50s. No. I can, you know,
let me lead to kingdom of God.
Oh, my.
What hurts me first is that in the case of Professor Akindele, it had to do with my alma mater, and that makes me feel really very bad.
And we are feeling very bad because this one too is UNILAG.
Yeah. Sad coincidence.
It's going on.
No, sad coincidence really. But Jide already alluded to the fact that we're all humans. That the fact that you're a man of God and you're standing, you know, at the pulpit, you know, ministering to people, doesn't make you God. We all have our frailties, and that's a fact. And if you look at the world, you know, globally, there are stories, even beyond our borders, about men of God who have fallen, as it were. So many examples. So it's not a Nigerian thing, you know, basically. So it all boils down to...
Let's say the devil targets them specially.
Well, that's what we hear and all that.
But because of the anointing.
The most important thing is that we are all humans, and we cannot claim perfection. No. Only God can claim perfection. No. You know, but we must admit that this is a scourge, you know. It's an age-old problem. In fact, as far back as 1991, you know, talking about the issue of sexual harassment in higher, you know, institutions, there was a commission for review of higher education in Nigeria, and it identified sexual harassment as a major issue, you know, confronting the academia, as far back as 1991. Yeah, you know, that it's largely responsible for the stress most people within that community feel, you know. So it didn't start today. But one thing we must also, you know, avert our mind to is that what makes sexual harassment a criminal act is not the gender of the person who perpetrates it. It's the fact that once there is lack of consent on the part of the man or the woman, you have a clear case of sexual harassment. So you can also have, like Jide, and our other colleague here, have said, once there is lack of consent on the part of the man or the woman, there is a case of sexual harassment. So it's not just a man thing. You also have women who are busy harassing the daylight out of the men.
Like in the newsroom now, we don't have any law that is saying that I should not admire my fellow reporter as a colleague. But in the university, they have a kind of extant law that a lecturer cannot
date your students. You shouldn't date your students.
Your students.
Because if you date your students, you are likely to give her undue preference, undue advantages over others. You are not likely to fail her, even when she deserves to fail. So it is morally reprehensible to date your student.
That's true.
Because there's just no way that you'll be impartial.
In assessing her, the exam,
in assessing her, you could even show her the question
before the exam.
This is what, you see, it is the 15th American president, Abraham Lincoln, who said, no man is good enough to govern another person without the person's consent. And I say no man is good enough to sleep with a woman without the woman's consent. Sex has to be consensual.
Okay, I have success from Abuja. Thank you for joining us.
Just over a minute.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm Mr. Success.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I want to say you are doing a good job. God bless you people.
Thank you.
On that sexual harassment, is a big disturb on our institution today in Nigeria. And I want to give kudos to those who captured that information. And also, they should also look into installing all these video software in most of our institutions so that we can get our daughters safe for tomorrow. And I want to also draw our view to Delta State Polytechnic, Ozoro. Delta State Polytechnic, Ozoro. The one that is happening there is worse. You will see old men of 70 years, 50, 70 years sleeping with young girls. And another problem too, the girls, they are not helping matters. They will be wearing a small bunch of, which I call Ebola. I call those skirts Ebola. They will wear it and be passing in front of this elderly men.
Thank you, Success. Thank you for your contribution. I don't know what Success is.
So the truth is, if you must sleep with a woman, it
mutual
has to be,
consent.
Yes, it has to be consensual. Two adults should have sex only through mutual consent. If that's not the case, you are likely to end up in jail. And in the case of these lecturers, Bukola Saraki talked about the law, the bill that they tried to have passed into law. There are quite a number of very good bills that they came up with that the president didn't give assent to. This is one of them. And he recommends 5 years imprisonment for anybody found guilty. And he says also, he stipulates that the matter should be thoroughly investigated because schools, institutions of higher learning usually treat these things with levity. They are not going to say that they don't get reports of these things happening. But most of the time, these matters get swept under the carpet, and that's why it's become rampant. And another thing is that some of these lecturers are themselves cultists. You know, they are cultists among lecturers. Because they are cultists, once the woman who is the victim begins to complain, the younger cultists who are students will go and warn her. That is why many of those cases go unreported. So in order to save their lives...
So some of these lecturers are cultists too?
Yes, because if they were cultists back in school, a lot of them do not renounce the... a lot of them do not renounce the secret society even when they after leaving university. So they become lecturers, they remain cultists, they mingle with those boys. So when they sleep with these girls, you know, just when they harass these girls and force them to sleep with them, the girls cannot go and lodge a complaint for fear of being dealt with by cultists. So this is one reason for us. This is why we do not have many cases being reported, despite the prevalence of this malady in our institutions. Many cases don't get reported because some of those girls are scared. And we've had cases too when the girl reports.
Yes.
The lecturers, they will say, okay, go and remark all our scripts. These lecturers will connive.
They still fail.
Yeah, they'll still get her failed. So it's really a terrible situation, but I believe that it has reached the point now that we have to come up with the right measures, not remedial measures, permanent measures to solve this problem. Lecturers take money from male students. Sometimes a lecturer will go and park his vehicle without fuel in it in front of the hostel of a male student. And he will now call him that, look, my key is inside the car. Go and fill my tank. The male student will fill the tank. They extort money from male students. Say they can't sleep with those ones, but they routinely extort money from them. So there's a lot happening in our institutions that need to be addressed. A lot of problems, not just sexually transmitted marks.
I have Bobby. Bobby is calling us from Taraba State. Thank you for joining us, Bobby.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution. Good evening.
Look, this scourge has been happening in our institution for way long back. It has been happening. And I call these people sexual predators. I am actually in tune of what Saraki is actually clamoring for now. The National Assembly should revisit that stuff and let them sign it into law. This thing has been happening, and if care is not taken, we are actually leading ourselves into destruction. It's only God that will actually save us in this country.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Ayo, and thank you, the two guys in the studio.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. Sam, what we're looking at now is that Dr. Boniface must be monitored because the way it is, the way BBC dealt with him, or we read that report, the way he was exposed. I don't want to go to his Ghanaian counterparts that has been threatening to go to court. I just...
no, that one is saying that the girl was not a student. Therefore, you cannot... But the girl went to you seeking admission. A favor. So if you are in
taking
position...
advantage...
If you are in position to dispense any favor, and then you... try to take advantage of that. You are just as culpable. Dr.
Boniface was saying admission is a small thing and everything, but he's in problem. He's in a big. He has been suspended indefinitely by Unilag and his church. Would have to
look at the way the church described what he did as heinous and unscriptural.
Yeah,
that's Foursquare Gospel Church. They actually dissociated themselves from his conduct.
Dr. Boniface led himself into this act. He has to carry the can. I don't feel any pity for him, basically. It's unfortunate, really. I have very serious concerns for the family. I mean, for somebody who has found himself...
the wife, the trauma, the children.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to imagine him back at home.
He has been named and shamed all over the world.
All over the place, you know. And I'm just beginning to imagine how he will sit and have the courage to face his family, the wife, the children, relations, you know, and the rest of them. So, but again, he has to live with it. For me, the other concern is that it wouldn't be enough to just have him suspended or the church, you know, denies him and all that. He has to be prosecuted by the laws of the land. Okay? And I think that it is this gap in the area of our jurisdiction that warranted the bill, which we are now, you know, basically lobbying and asking the federal government to revisit, you know, and ensure it's put into law. Ayo, in the course of this program, I tried to conduct, you know, some research. It's in Lagos that you find that you can find a law that deals with the issue of sexual, you know, harassment of all the states in the country. So if the school has issues on how to deal with the man, the case should be prosecuted. The courts in Lagos where it happened,
because still within the jurisdiction, Lagos
can deal with it. The Lagos State criminal law, the criminal law of Lagos State 2011 has provisions, and I'm reading, criminalizing sexual harassment, making Lagos State, the first state in Nigeria to make laws against sexual harassment. Section 2621 of the criminal law of Lagos State 2011 provides that any person who sexually harasses another is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 3 years. He has to have this day in court. I mean, there are no sentiments about it. What he has done is against the law of the states. He should face the law.
So, Lagos State Ministry of Justice just take over the prosecution.
It's not enough to have him suspended. In my view.
Just to face the law. Wahid?
Look at what, let me take us back to what the judge who sentenced Richard Akindele said. He said this kind of issue is too rampant in our tertiary institution. We send children to school, they come back home, telling us that lecturers want to sleep with them. She went on to say to her that we cannot continue like this. Somebody has to be used as an example. Even primary school pupils are complaining that I even got to the extent of primary school pupils being harassed by their teachers. We have seen situations like that. There was one in one of these private schools of recent of a teacher that was fond of harassing a primary 1 or primary 2 pupil. Each time during break time, he would take the girl into the toilet and sexually harass
them. Is that your own code room?
I think that is his own code room. Because I think he was the only person doing that kind of thing.
For my lecturer friends in the University of Lagos, they have shut down the code room now. They shut down the code room now. All right. Still to come, Southwest governors poll 100 vehicles for regional security patrol. We'll be right back after this time out. It's still Journalist Hangout, so please stay with us. Welcome back. It's a multi-award winning program, Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. In desperate times, people devise desperate measures to stay afloat. In the face of mounting security challenges across the country, governors in the southwest region are pooling resources together to mount a united front against insecurity. The governors of the 6 southwest states of Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti have pooled 100 vehicles for a regional patrol team to be called Amotekun. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, who described the plans, said the joint patrol team is to ensure proper communication among security agents in the states. Wow, Bajire, because when we saw, after the death of the daughter of the Afenifere leader, and it became a source of concern, even people being kidnapped along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and it became so rampant, even in Oshogbo, Osun states. So the Southwest governors had to come together, and what's that? They have a common commission, the
Development Agenda for Western Nigeria.
From Western Nigeria. So coming together, and for the first time we are seeing this, and they are going to be putting resources together to actually make sure that the Southwest states are secured.
Yeah, when they met a few months back, it was in the height of the kidnapping in the Southwest. The Ibadan-Ilesha corridor was very, very notorious for kidnapping. Even Bongan, just around the Ikire, there are forests there.
Okay.
People get kidnapped. So they came together and then decided that, look, we must do something as a team. And I give kudos to the Ondo State Governor, Arakuni because he had a shootout with headsmen who stood on the road looking for who to kidnap. And his security men overwhelmed the headsmen. And thank God, after that, it became clear that, look, something must be done. Remember, Alaafin too also met with the president after that statement by Oni of Ife saying that nothing must happen to our people, that the Southwest is not a place where foreigners will come and be kidnapping people just because you know our forest more than us. Then we had the case of the son of
former
health minister who was kidnapped by headsmen. He was kidnapped by headsmen. That's his own admission, that was kidnapped by headsmen. But one of them could speak Yoruba, and that was the one that showed compassion to him. You know, the money they found in his farm was what they took away. So we had all kinds of cases. And then, of course, the unfortunate killing of Baba Fashoronti's daughter. Now, these governors who are lethargic, behaving initially that they do not really care about the security of their people, they've now seen that it makes no sense to simply sit in their comfy offices and watch people being kidnapped in the Southwest. They come together, and remember during their meeting, they came up with all kinds of ideas that, look, let us have the traditional institutions directly involved in securing these, their communities. You know, in the past, before you come into a community, you must first, the people must first see you and literally register you as someone coming into their community. So remember also that in the heat of it, the Commissioner of Police in Ondo State had to go and have a meeting with the Hausa Fulani community and told them that, look, identify the bad eggs amongst you so that the innocent do not suffer. We ran that story on this program. I thank God that as a result of the agitation, the complaints and all that, and the constant talking about this problem, it's gone down in the Southwest now.
Considerably.
It has gone down. And when you travel through that same corridor, patrols are much more frequent than it used to be, because that Ilesha corridor used to be literally undefended. Whereas once you move into Ekiti, you see plenty of policemen, checkpoints, you know, and motorized checkpoints along the way. But things are improving now, and they just need to build on that. I'm happy that the governor of Osun State has now agreed to provide to refurbish a park, which will now serve as the base of the Joint Task Force.
That's Governor
Oyetola, which would that is in Bongon.
In Bongon.
The site
where
Aregbesol's friend was murdered. That park, yes. It will now be the base for the Joint Task Force, you know, and then with the vehicles that they are going to provide another equipment. Remember, Osun bought drones with the intention of using those drones to patrol the area and secure their state. But you know, before you put such drones to use, you must get the clearance of the National Security Advisor. I'm happy that the president has said, yes, you can now bring in drones for this the matter of security. So we are getting there gradually. We'll be able to use technology to protect our people, equip the police sufficiently, so that those patrols will deter bad people from committing heinous crimes.
Wahid, I think this is new, it's novel. So if we can have this kind of cooperation even across the regions.
I think it's a welcome development. There's no doubt about it. Especially because of the fact that they didn't leave it at the donation of vehicles. They went ahead to talk about provision of equipment, modern equipment, because they discovered that a DPO in a particular area cannot communicate with a DPO in another area effectively. Now talk of a policeman, a police officer communicating with an Air Force man. And they said, in addition to that, they are also going to recruit people into the task force, and they will be drawn mainly from the police, army, Air Force, and vigilance group, as well as hunters. You know, we now have a mixture of people who have been trained officially and those who know the terrain. Because I believe those hunters, they must be from
those civilian JTF in the northeast.
And those vigilance groups, they must also be from the community. They know the terrain. by the time they will work hand in hand, the desired result will be achieved. There's no doubt about this. Is a welcome. I will also pray that all other governors can, emulate what the Southwest governor have started. We also discover that if you make a particular state inhabitable for criminals, they will move to the next one. But if you now have a joint patrol among those states, regional patrol now, they don't have any option than to leave the entire geopolitical zone and go to wherever they think they can have a field. That's very good.
In Zamfara. The
Yes,
moment
now
Zamfara became safe, they moved into Katsina. Katsina is becoming safe now. They are moving to Kaduna.
Kaduna, yes.
You can see that killings are rampant in Kaduna now.
So they don't have that opportunity here because we are talking of a joint patrol by the entire Southwest states.
Sam, how would you describe this at Motekun?
I think it's a good initiative, quite commendable. In my view, I think it's a good step towards a good experiment in regional integration. Like we have acknowledged here, if you have bits of these initiatives across the different regions of the country, and you aggregate the benefits of it, well, we're likely going to have a safer society, a more secure environment. So it's very much welcome. These are the early steps. 100 vehicles, you ask, how far can it take us? But the fact that we've gotten started is what in my view, is quite commendable. It's also nice to learn that they are looking beyond issues of logistics, because intelligence gathering is critical to the success of any security initiative. I think that investments in that area, should be taken very seriously. I want to believe that in their strategy sessions, these issues will have come up, and that the governors, the helmsmen of these states, will have taken very critical looks of the very critical steps that they need to take in ensuring that their region is secure and that Nigeria, as a whole, is a safer place for all of us to live in. Like I said, it's a good step, it's a good experiment in regional integration. Their peers across the other regions should look at what has been done.
Yes, that's why I wanted to ask Babajide. It will be difficult to replicate this. Okay, the Southeast is still manageable. The Southwest is manageable. Can you replicate this in the Northeast? Can you replicate this in North Central? A state like Niger State that has the largest land. What can be done to assist these states? Because if you are saying other regions can copy and paste this, it might not be realistic in some northern states.
They can, at geopolitical level, it can be replicated. In fact, the reason, and I'm telling you the truth because I've been to those places, the reason crime is running rampant in Kaduna State is because the states near them, states that are contiguous to Kaduna, have found a way to solve the problem of banditry. And the little man who is the governor in the state doesn't appear to be interested in towing the same line. So they will move into a state. Brenigwari in Kaduna State is close to Katsina State through a local government called Sabwa. So they can move in from there. Once the bandits cannot operate because their own people are the ones monitoring them to see if anyone will breach the ceasefire agreement. And anyone who breaches the ceasefire agreement is playing with his life. So if they can't operate there, they will now move to other places. It happened in Zamfara. We said it at that time that, look, if other states don't join, they will go to places where they are welcome.
So to a large extent now, Katsina is safe?
Katsina is safe now, to a large extent. One or two occasions, they breached the ceasefire agreement. But largely, you can see that it is working. But there are still places that you need to secure. For example, the extensive forest linking those states. There's a forest beginning from Niger, goes into Brenigwari, Kaduna.
Rugu Forest?
No, it's not Rugu Forest. It is it Kudambeina or something? I can't remember the name. But it's a very, very extensive forest there's a boy there who is the head of the bandits.
What do you call his name again?
Who goes by the name Dogo Gide.
Okay.
Dogo Gide is the one who controls that area. I told to bring Ngwari to the edge of the boundary with Funtua. So any crime that takes place along that area, you know that that's his area. But he's not coming into, he's being engaged by the Katsina people. So he's not spreading his tentacles into Katsina. But where he is, if they do not try to also have a kind of agreement like the Katsina people have, he will continue to run rampant in Kaduna State. This is exactly what is happening. If you remember when Katsina first tried the ceasefire.
Yes, in 2014.
Yes, 2017.
Okay.
You know, this SGS.
Okay.
Mustafa Inua.
Okay.
They continue to kill people in Zamfara. And I remember he told me, he said, if Zamfara doesn't do what we are doing, those boys will move.
So everybody have to
That's
key
what
to
happened.
This vision to
So
Kaduna State.
once Matawale became governor, one of the first things he did was to seek peace with these people. Now, his state is safe.
Zamfara
when was the last time you heard that they keep people in Zamfara?
Okay, Adetor is calling us from Lagos.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Please, I want to speak on the tackling insecurity.
Okay.
And I have 2 points to make. Now, number one, I commend the Southwest governors for the initiative they have not taken. There is one vital point to raise. These people are moving from one place to the other. The moment you make life difficult for them in one area. So the joint effort of the Southwest is very commendable. Now, but for how long, how can we contain these people? I remember recently the Yeti Allah said that when Fulani herdsmen are arrested, after a few weeks, they are released. As long as these people are not being tried and jailed, then they will be finding safe haven. Then these vehicles, when you look, I don't know, I saw 100 on the screen. I don't know if you say it's 150.
100.
Well, while I commend them, I think the figure is just too small for now.
It's the starting point.
I think they can improve on the number of vehicles. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adetoro, for your contribution. And so, on the final note, gentlemen, I think we are moving towards naturally restructuring our security. If we don't have to use that word, restructuring Nigeria. But in terms of security, we've gotten the community policing and everything, traditional rulers. Yes, yes. So without going to sit down in the constitutional government and amend the constitution, I think gradually we're getting there. A kind and compassionate act is reward on its own. But when a police officer decided to perform an act of kindness to a robbery victim in Lagos, Governor Babajide SANWO-OLU decided to honor the exemplary conduct. The divisional police officer in charge of Ogudu division, that's Celestina Kalu, had on the 19th of September led a mission to rescue 25-year-old orphan from Edo State, Friday, Ajabo, from robbery attack in Ojota area of Lagos. The policewoman did not stop there. She used her personal resources to ensure that the victim was treated at the hospital. Governor SANWO-OLU, who was amazed by this rare act, described it as essence of public service. Let's share the story with you.
When I was about turning, the boy now called me and said, "Mommy, please, don't leave me to die. Please help me."
Mommy, don't leave me to die were the words that saved 25-year-old Friday after being shot by robbers on the 19th of last month at Ogudu. The words touched Officer Celestina Onwanko, the DPO of Ogudu Police Station, who went all the way to keep Friday alive. Officer Celestina paid the initial bill from her pocket just to stabilize Friday. Unlike Celestina, many Nigerians would have looked the other way or get busy taking pictures instead of helping the victim.
I met the doctors on call. They said they don't have space. They took me in. Actually, they don't have space there. But I told him there's nothing I can do about it. This guy has been bleeding since it's around 9 or so, and this is after 12 midnight. You want the boy to die or what? I asked them to take my blood because they said his blood was O positive. I'm O positive. They said, no, it's late. They said, there's a place to buy blood. I said, okay, call them. I'll pay for it. So we bought 4 pints of blood. By 5 in the morning, that's when they took him into surgery. After 5 hours, he came out. This time, I'm telling you, I spent my personal money, 200 and something thousand.
I was sitting at Abiola Garden at Ogudu when robbers came to rob me and my friend there.
What time?
It was around 8 p.m. So when they came, they grabbed me and my friend. So they said I should give them everything I have. So at the process, I was trying to defend myself. I didn't know they were holding a pistol gun. So as soon as I handed over the phone that was with me, because the phone was not mine, it was for my friend. So as soon as I handed over the phone to my friend, the robber shot at me in my tummy.
And this is the reason why Governor SANWO-OLU is recognizing the officer in the presence of the state cabinet with an award to encourage others.
Congratulations. She has demonstrated what we all should be practicing. She has demonstrated it, and she needs to be encouraged, and we should use her as a point of contact for others. When people are in distress, when people are in need, in whatever form, if you have the means to do it, please let us do so. So that's why we'll be talking about ensuring that we need to push this health insurance scheme that we're talking about, and be able to help ourselves.
The congestion at the General Hospital delayed Friday's treatment on that fateful day. But on his unscheduled visit to the General Hospital Marina over the weekend to have a first-hand appraisal of the situation at the medical facility, Governor SANWO-OLU settled the medical bills of some patients who were delayed for not paying their bills to create space for others.
Gentlemen, we see in Nigeria right now, when you get to a site of a near accident, an accident scene, the first thing you see, people removing their phones and, picturing instead of rescuing those people. Another one is you just discover that area boys are all over the place looking for bags of the dead bodies, looking to how to prefer. Where did we lose our humanity? Babajide?
I mean, it's such a sad thing. I saw a video of fire victims. I think the bus they were driving in caught fire. These people, a lot of them had suffered high-degree burns. And you know where that happens, you lose so much blood. So invariably, I could say half of them would die. But someone was just taking photographs, just videoing. What really do you want to achieve with that?
To make,
instead of helping them, some of them could barely walk. Some of them could barely walk and needed to be assisted just to make them stable, to be able to walk up to the point where they will be evacuated. People would rather not assist. They will be taking videos just because they have one cheap phone, Android phone that can,
cheap data.
Techno has made phones so cheap that people who ordinarily would not have owned phones.
The techno people should pay you money for advertising them.
People who ordinarily would not have owned phones in around 2001. Everybody has a phone now. And the first thing in the phone, it has camera. Oh, okay, that's
the resolution is high.
That's all, So our people should change their attitude. You can't go to such things and the first thing on your mind is to take pictures of people in distress. It's just not right.
How about when you go to a scene of a collapsed building, the first thing you just see area boys looking for their money.
Yes.
Looking for their
bags. Accident since they start to look. You remember that Associated Airlines aircraft that came down? At the scene, people were stealing. They were scavenging at the scene, dipping their hands into the bags of the dead victims. I mean, it's terrible.
To our people.
It's just a pure lack of humanity. You see, we are not the only ones bedraggled by poverty. But people have greater humanity even in poorer countries. This is the thing. We shouldn't be behaving in this way.
Celestina Kalu, a DPO, and she's good, and she, whatever impression we have about the police,
yes.
She has proven to us that police, they're actually your friends.
She has demystified the long belief that we have in Nigeria that if you go to a policeman, another policeman, you are going to give. If the policeman visits you, you say ask you to bring out something. She has demystified that belief, using her personal money. And I think the fact that she's also a woman plays a part in what she did. Because that word that the guy said, "Mommy, don't let me die," actually sunk in her. And she couldn't hold back again. That whatever it takes, I'm going to make sure that this guy stays alive. You can imagine what would have happened if she didn't go to her, except for the fact that she also confirmed that she went into some of those facilities and discovered that there were no best places. I would have said maybe they were lying, because we now have a situation whereby our health care personnel, they are now after money.
I wanted to raise the issue of, somebody started bleeding 9 p.m. and it took
almost 3 hours.
Almost 3 hours to get the person,
admitted.
To be admitted. The bottleneck we go through in terms of emergency, especially when it has to do with gunshots.
Yeah, it's very disturbing, really. Health is one of the critical elements when you're measuring the Human Development Index. So here we have a very critical example of the sad state, of our healthcare system. Maybe not in terms of equipment, but in terms of numbers. Now, it took the governor's intervention to pay the bills of some people who were in hospital to be discharged so that they can make space for others. So it clearly shows that even within, even within,
they will detain them.
Yeah, even within this environment where we think that the healthcare system is even within this environment where we think that the healthcare system is quite improved, you still have these gaps. You can imagine what it is in some other states that are not as lucky as Lagos. So it's a clear indication that we need to pay a lot more attention on our healthcare delivery. Otherwise, people will continue to suffer. Talking about values, like Jude said, it's really gone bad. Where's the place of selflessness, in all this? Where's the place of our humanity? What we can do at fora like this is to say, no, we need to change our attitude. Our people need to care for others, sacrifice. That is what has placed other advanced societies ahead of us. The attention they pay to things that have to do with the human being. That's what distinguishes them from the rest of us. So what we can do here is commend the governor, encourage the DP of Ogudu, the lady. I'm quite impressed, and we hope that other policemen, either higher or lower.
She has done a great
exactly
for the police.
Yes, should take take a cue.
The Inspector General of Police should commend her. You have to promote her. She deserves
commendation.
Special commendation.
They should take a cue from what she has done.
I think on a final note, we have to deepen our national health insurance scheme. The level of penetration is about 5%. Whereas a country like Ghana has achieved 50%.
Imagine the gap.
So, because a lot of the diseases and ailments killing our people are preventable, which means that we can do a lot better than we are doing currently. So, if we achieve even 50 or 60% penetration in respect of the National Health Insurance Scheme, such emergencies can be easily handled. Once the guy has subscribed to it, he doesn't have to take money from Celestina or anyone. He'll be treated. He'll be attended to. That is the thing. Even for surgery, minor surgeries and the rest, you'll be attended to. But we don't have that. Instead, when you appoint people into NHIS, the first thing they want to do is to steal money.
Looting money.
We are not achieving penetration of the scheme. And it's such a shame. Great countries of the world, I commend Obasanjo for coming up with this idea. Great countries of the world, they thrive on this kind of insurance scheme. Go to UK and nearly everyone is subscribed to it. So you don't need an arm and a leg. you don't need to pay through your nose to be treated in hospital because you are covered by the health insurance scheme. That's what we should really work on.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you. Sam Ibimere.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Wahid Bakari.
It's my pleasure.
And the Oracle himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank you. The man,
thank you.
The man some of our friends describe as more pro-PDP. We'll talk about that later.
the day you see some of the extremist APC supporters who behave that way. The day you support the government over Showore, they won't talk. The day you attack Onogen over his, they will not talk. The day you support the closure of the borders, they will not see you as PDP. The day you support the creation of 7% VAT, they will not see you as PDP. They want you to spend all your time praising the APC government.
It won't happen.
I'm a professional journalist. I would rather quit my job than do that. So when they abuse me over that, it serves as manure. It's like fertilizer. The insult is fertilizer to me. It makes me even more popular.
Oh, thank you for our viewers for your criticism always. And that's our journey today. Just join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Also, watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.